Good morning. It's Lisa with Lisahealyourself. And today we're going to talk about the dysregulated nervous system. If you have chronic illness and can't solve it, if you have anxiety and depression, if you have bipolar, if you have any mental health condition, if you have physical ailments, if you have adrenaline rushes, if you have anxiety, buzzing, burning, trembling, pain, if you have chronic fatigue syndrome, exhaustion, depersonalization, derealization, dizziness, brain fog, any and all of this is coming from a dysregulated nervous system. So you may put it all under the same umbrella and we may treat it the same. Okay, so I'm not talking about an acute accident or an acute something going wrong physically. You know, if you've been to the doctors, if you've done your thing, if this is an ongoing pattern that's lasted months or years, this is definitely what you have. And rather than chasing symptoms, rather than chasing one by one after all of these different symptoms, you may group any of the ones I just said under the same umbrella of chronic illness. We're talking anxiety, depression, we're talking adrenaline surges, we're talking buzzing, we're talking burning, we're talking pain, we're talking electric shocks and any uncomfortable sensations like this in your body. We are talking about fatigue, crushing fatigue and exhaustion. We're talking about dizziness. We're talking about brain fog, not being able to think clearly, depersonalization, derealization. If you have any of these, I cannot state it enough. You are dealing with a dysregulated nervous system. You may be dealing with other things too, but your main issue and the thing that you want to work on above all else, if you just plop all of those symptoms under the umbrella of a dysregulated nervous system, then rather than chasing every single one of those symptoms down and trying to find a solution for each one, you can find a solution for one thing, which is your dysregulated nervous system. And it simplifies the process of healing. Because if you are trying to find a solution for brain fog, but you're also trying to find a solution for anxiety, and you're also trying to find a solution for exhaustion, everything that you look up is going to be competing and different. And this is why it's so confusing to heal. So one diet might work for this thing, one supplement might work for this thing, right? This mind-body treatment might work for this, but not for this. Acupuncture might work for this and not this. So really when you're chasing down symptoms, if you have 3 to 5 symptoms, or if you have 20 symptoms, or if you have 100 symptoms, you're going to exhaust yourself, right? If you're dealing with more than 5 symptoms and you're trying to solve all of them separately and independently, you're going to exhaust yourself. Put one problem at the top of your list, which is the dysregulated nervous system, which is really, when you solve that problem, all the other symptoms underneath it, because it's the top problem, dissolve. So yes, you can solve certain problems with diet and with all these different things, but there's still going to be more in there, because once you get to the top of the pyramid, then everything else underneath it heals. So let's just go there first. Okay, so in this video, we're going to discuss how you've gotten into a dysregulated state. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, and then what we can do and solutions that we can start to apply to get to regulate your nervous system. Okay, so if you've ever had a panic attack, and you've ever even gone all the way with a panic attack and totally lost consciousness and fainted, then you've experienced an entire cycle of a dysregulated nervous system. So we go into a whole bunch of symptoms as we start to build fear. So just imagine a panic attack. You're getting afraid, you're starting to get agitated, you're looking around, you might start to notice your vision going and some pricks and tingles start, and you're getting panicky and your heart's beating fast. You might start to break out into a sweat. So there's all these signs and symptoms, body symptoms coming up very fast, very fast, right? And sort of taking you over. Mental symptoms, fear, anxiety, feeling like you're going to explode or you can't be alive in your own body. So from the mental to the emotional to the actual physical sensations all over your body. Okay, at the height of this, your body can no longer maintain this heightened state of anxiety anymore, and it switches, and you sort of start to lose part of the world. You split, you fragment, you start to feel derealized, and you're no longer in your body, you're no longer part of your body. That you start to go from a real fight or flight state into a freeze state, and this is where you might even lose consciousness, pass out, and your body totally shuts you down and you go into deep freeze. When you come out of it, you're exhausted physically and mentally. You have a hard time coming to. You're maybe dizzy, lightheaded, complete exhaustion. You feel like you've just fought a war, and brain fog, thick brain fog, a lot of things happening. Okay, until you rest, you settle, and then eventually you come back to normal, where you're feeling okay again, and you slowly start to get back into life again, start to get up, you might start to eat something, all of these different things. Once the body begins to feel safe, then you can slowly regain your energy and get back into life. The fear has passed, the stimulus has passed, whatever brought on that panic attack has passed, and your body re-regulates, right? Now, if you've got a looping fight, flight, or freeze, dysfunctioning nervous system, you're in a heightened state. So imagine a panic attack, we just talked about it, but imagine it over months or even over a year. So imagine the adrenaline, right, going on and for days, 5 days, a week in your body without being able, to get to that point where you sort of fragment and derealize and get into deep freeze and then total exhaustion and sort of on the other side of it before you can regulate yourself. So this is often what it looks like in chronic illness. It's like a lengthened, exaggerated panic attack, but you don't recognize it as that because it's over months, right? Or even over years. So this is what's happening. And you kind of, when it's done, rather than thinking that the fear is over and you can start to re-regulate yourself and go on with life, it circles back and it starts all over. So we go from feeling extreme anxiety and palpitations in our chest and feeling, you might even get it so bad and so long that you feel like you're going to explode, like you literally feel the adrenaline rushes going through your body, pricks, tingles, an electric feeling, pulsing, right? Insomnia, not being able to sleep, wired, extremely wired, thoughts racing. All of these are part of the fight and flight system. It's lengthened, so you feel like anything that you do, meditation, calming, breathing, all that stuff doesn't work the way it might in a panic attack to bring you down, because this is happening over months. So therefore the breathing and the calming down and everything must also happen at that same lengthened rate. But because you cannot keep yourself in a calm state for like a week to see actually the results of that helping, you're in a feedback loop because you get anxious about the symptoms themselves, and so it just feeds on itself. So when your body can no longer sustain that intense pain and tingling and tremors and anxiety and racing thoughts and pain and heart palpitations and whatever you may be experiencing, right? Feeling like you need to escape out of your own body, just like this rush surges of adrenaline. You may wake up one day feeling like you're completely dissociated, completely exhausted, brain fog so thick you can't even communicate. And it's a different set of symptoms, but yet it's all part of that same cycle, a dysregulation on the other side. So we're going from one extreme to the other extreme, one extreme to the other extreme, like anxiety to depression, like adrenaline to fatigue, chronic fatigue. So this is like almost like a pendulum going back and forth, right? So when you're in a real chronic state, your pendulum is swinging wide this way and wide this way, and you're getting all the symptoms in between. And this middle part is where we regulate. But because when we're over here at the extreme of brain fog and dissociation and exhaustion and not being able to even maybe walk to the bathroom or anything, we get afraid of that. The pendulum swings back and it starts a loop, and we again start the fear cycle and the adrenaline and the buzzing and the burning and the pain, and then we sort of crash and we're anxious and dissociated and fatigued, and then we get afraid of that, and so the loop continues, right? So that's why it's so confusing. That's why there's 20 symptoms, 30 symptoms, 100 symptoms, because it just keeps on feeding, and it's one extreme to the other. And what we want to do is we want to try to regulate more closely to the middle, so that we're only having slight swings, slight symptoms, and then we can start to regulate. But when we're going wildly, really anything that we try to do isn't going to work. So when we're in survival mode, complete wild extremes, symptoms raging, not being able to use our conscious mind to control what's happening, we need to have one strategy. And when we are seeing some good days, seeing some good hours, seeing this part in the middle a little bit show up more, then we can use our conscious mind to do different exercises that will help bring us out faster. So when we don't have any moments of this middle part, because our pendulum is swinging so wildly that we're swinging past the middle so quickly, that we don't even really recognize it. We need to try to get more into the middle. So when you're in survival mode, there's really no point in doing a lot of the deep trauma work or the healing work or taking supplements or diet or any of it, because none of it's going to work until you get more centered. When you're in this state, you really only have one job, and that is to calm the nervous system, to get out of fear, to tell yourself that you're safe, and to try to cultivate some sense of lowered symptoms. Now, you may not get to zero, right? But some sense of being grounded, being in the moment, and being capable of focusing on something else other than your symptoms. Because when you're in survival, you're laser focused on your symptoms. And really, you cannot think of anything else. It's almost impossible to take your mind off that for 1 second. And the more we laser focus on something, it's like using a magnifying glass over top of it, and it magnifies and it makes things even worse. So at this point, when you're in survival, you must calm. You must calm your nervous system, and you must distract from the laser focus or the magnifying glass. So there's a couple of different strategies you can use when you're in survival. First thing is, do not Google. Do not Google these symptoms. Do not give them more attention or fear, or do not ramp up the fear cycle. So Googling any Facebook groups, any stories that are going to stress you out, any movies or shows that are going to stress you out, anything that takes your fear higher has to be off the table when you're in survival. So your only goal is to try to soothe yourself. So you can do this through things like meditation, because what you want to do is, even though your body is surging and going crazy with symptoms and fighting a war, literally, you want your mind to be still. So almost the mental image, and I had this for years and years, and so this is my go-to. Like a Buddha, meditating as he's being lit on fire, right? So I know it's a very extreme image, but just sitting there so your mind is still while craziness is happening in the body. Or if that's too extreme for you to visualize, you could visualize the top of the water still while a storm rages underneath, okay? But the water's still, the mind is still. So that's kind of sometimes why we get into dissociation, because when we are surging with symptoms, overwhelming symptoms, and anxiety and adrenaline and all the things that it creates, all those symptoms that adrenaline rushes and everything create, when we have to be in our body and we can't escape it, and we do have to sit there kind of like still mind while all this is raging, our body dissociates. We naturally dissociate to become above, to be able to cope with, to hold, to kind of split from our body so that we can have calmness up here while something's raging underneath. When the adrenaline finally gets to that tipping point and it stops for a minute, that's why you have major brain fog and major dissociation, because that brain fog and dissociation was a protective mechanism that was being used by your subconscious mind to protect you while you were in a state that felt like you were going to die if you didn't escape your own body. So it uses this protective mechanism, dissociating, brain fog, fatigue, right, so that it can help you survive that. And so when we come out of it, but then when we're afraid of the brain fog and the dissociation, which is the aftermath of the adrenaline, we start this cycle all over again. So if you do get to the brain fog and the dissociation and the dizziness and the crushing fatigue, as horrible as that is, you still also are in a dysregulated state that you have to calm down. I know it feels like you're already too calm, but you have to stay calm even though it feels like you should get up and push. But as soon as you get that adrenaline spike again, you get into the loop. So this is really important. So we can start that feedback by pushing too hard emotionally, by pushing too hard physically, or by getting too much fear, by putting our laser focus again back on the symptoms, which spikes that fear response. So even though it feels like you're totally out of it, you aren't even in this world, you're totally exhausted, you need to also calm down and keep your nervous system depressed, even though it feels like you might need to do the opposite at that point. And when you are experiencing adrenaline, it might feel like you need to work with that adrenaline, like run, scream, like get it out. The more adrenaline we have, we need to calm the system. And so some of the techniques that you can use are meditation, because that takes that dissociation and it uses it wisely, right? We're using our mind, but we're sending calming messages instead of terrible messages, like I'm going to die, I'm not going to be here. And we dissociate from that. It's more like, I'm okay, I'm safe, calming the body. So we want to use meditation. So if you can find 2, 3, 4, 5 meditations that really calm you, that give you grounding, messages of safety, feeling a little bit in your body, but also using imagery in your mind to create good and helpful and safe and peaceful images. If you can find these, you can look them up on YouTube, you put them on a loop and just play them in the background as you go through your day. Play these meditations and just continually remind yourself that you're safe, that you want to calm down, that you want to get your system under control so that you can focus. Your mind can take 10%, 20%, 30%, even 40, 50, 60% of your energy now and focus on a task rather than laser focus that magnifying glass on symptoms. When you can get there, so it's just calming. When you're in survival mode, you don't want to do anything that adds to fight or flight or freeze. All you want to do is calm, reassure, you're safe. Calm, reassure, you're safe. Breathe, meditate, calm, somatic tracking, all of these things we use, all of these tools we use in this day. Maybe gentle yoga, gentle breathing, anything that feels good, Epsom salts baths, heating pads, anything soothing things. This is what we want to do. Then when we're able to focus our mind a little bit and we're getting these little bits of normalcy or little bits of places where we feel, oh, I'm okay. I might be okay. Like, don't focus on the symptoms then. Then we want to build confidence, trust in ourselves and our body. We want to use any time that we feel better. That's when we want to do a really good future meditation. Like, we want to anchor that feeling in. So whenever we have moments of feeling not perfect, but better, like some relief, waves of relief, then you want to anchor in these feelings. I'm okay. See, I'm safe. My body's doing good. You want to anchor these in as long as you can. You want to build confidence. This is when you can put on funny movies or distract yourself with activities and hobbies that you love. Anything to feel good and to lock in that confidence, to keep that going, to lengthen it out as long as you can. And at this point, if you start to feel fear, if you start to feel a symptom, we want to use brain retraining in this state to look away from that, to look back to the good feelings, right, before we get sucked down, so that we can stay in this space longer. And then we use our brain retraining to be able to do more things, to build more things, to go closer to life, to get into life, because that's what it's all about. It's about moving back to life. And so when you're able to have any kind of moments of relief, peace, hours, days at a time, then you don't want to push yourself and do all the things that you've been ignoring over the last 3-4 days, week, when you're really heightened. And you want to just slow brain retraining. So again, when you're in survival, when you're in the thick of it, it's calming, it's soothing, anything calming, soothing, messages of safety, physical things that calm you, mental things that calm you, spiritual things that calm you, calming things, walking slow, talking slow, just anything to get your body to realize that it's safe. Again, when we get any kind of a relief, we blow that up. We build confidence. We use brain retraining. We try to lengthen the time that we stay feeling good, and we can really build on this. So we're going to talk more about this, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what's actually happening and then some ways that you can work with this to get out of it faster. Remember, we cannot change the symptoms. We can't do anything about it when our nervous system's gone haywire. So the only thing that we can do is calm, try to regulate. And when we're regulating, then we use brain retraining, then we look to life, then we build up these positive feelings, and we can start to build these moments, these little wins, and grow that. But again, when you're suffering, when you're in a constant loop, when you're just surviving, your only job is to calm, messages of safety, bring that down, and get to a place where then you can do this work. So it's really all about safety and meditation and calming your body, and then brain retraining and getting back to life and building confidence. And that's what this is. That's what the healing process is over time. And it swings back and forth when we're dealing with a dysregulated nervous system. So again, don't go online. Don't get caught up in the Facebook chats. Don't listen to anything that scares you. Don't do anything that's physically beyond your limits, that's mentally beyond your limits, that's emotionally beyond your limits. Calming, messages of safety. You can play recordings of like, I am safe, all day long. You want to really anchor this in, and when your body catches up, it could take days, it could take weeks, it could take months. When your body catches up, when you start to get relief, we build on that. We blow that up. We really start to anchor that in. This is who I am. This is where I'm going. See, I am healing. We really build our confidence. We build on that. We lengthen it. We then just try to use little bits of brain retraining so that we don't go back there, right? We want to look away from the symptoms, to pull the magnifying glass away. Don't allow yourself to go back there. And little by little, slowly by slowly, we spend more time over here and less time over here. It doesn't happen overnight. It is a process. It's really the only process. Stop doing everything else. Start doing this. We'll talk more about it this year in 2023. And I hope this video has been helpful, and I will see you in the next one.